È lunedì e come tutti i lunedì io sono qui per parlare di wrestling e sono sempre qui per farlo con un ospite speciale. In questo caso l'ospite è ancora più speciale perché è un ospite inglese, quindi dovrò parlare come sempre in questi casi in inglese, ma non vi preoccupate, dal momento in cui io aprirò al mio ospite partiranno anche i sottotitoli con i quali voi potrete interagire con la discussione, con quello di cui parleremo, anche se non capite perfettamente la lingua inglese. Per questo vi chiedo lo sforzo minimo ma necessario per comprendere al meglio di leggere i sottotitoli. Avrete tutta l'occasione poi per mettere nei commenti eventuali domande, chiarimenti, tutto quello che vi serve, e avrete anche l'occasione in descrizione per conoscere ancora meglio i servizi e le cose che fa questo mio ospite, che è veramente molto molto interessante. Quindi permettetemi di introdurlo e poi di poter così iniziare a parlare in inglese, quindi lo faccio arrivare qui nello schermo di fianco a me e poi si comincia. Hi Barry, how are you?
I'm good, my friend. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's a great pleasure for me. This is Barry Charalambous, and I'm trying to be the best. I tried my best to tell the exact pronunciation.
You did it better than English people say it.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, because you helped me tell this. So let's cut the crap. Who are you? Because you are a person that I really wanted here in Elite Club.
My name's Barry Charalambous. I have trained a lot of people that have contracts on NXT UK. I've trained someone you guys might know quite well as Drake Maverick or Spud. I've promoted since the age of 19 years old in the UK. I've been a booker. I've gone out and put posters up. You know, I've pretty much done everything I was able to until this point to promote professional wrestling in the UK. And I was lucky enough quite a few years ago, to go to Italy and see the beautiful scenes that you guys have going. I mean, you've got a great load of talent over there. Some of it needs some work, some of it doesn't. You know, I've just been very happy to see how it's grown since the first time I went there, where people could basically not even look up or bump, to the point it is now, where you know you've got talent starting to develop. They've started to have decent characters. They've started to understand what the crowd wants. They've started to learn how to draw, and for me, that's the be all and end all. If you don't learn to draw, you've got nothing.
Okay, it's crazy because here in Italy we are doing this just for 20 years now, because the first time someone tried to do something in Italy, it was 2001. So just 20 years in the making, and it's incredible the big steps we did in these 20 years. But you were able to see us in the first steps of this, maybe not just the very first, but in this process you were here, and you brought here your expertise, because lots of people here in Italy told me that you are a great trainer. Can you explain how it is to be a trainer?
It's amazing and terrible at the same time, because when you train someone and they do well and they get it and they understand what they're meant to be doing, that's beautiful. But then when you've got another guy that doesn't want to listen because he thinks he knows, even though he's probably only done a year's training or 2 years training, and you have to argue with him about, you know, doing a certain storyline. Or the worst thing I ever had in Italy was about people losing, because basically they were marks, and they didn't understand that sometimes if you want to build a story, sometimes you have to lose, sometimes you have to win, sometimes you have to get injured in an angle, sometimes you have to whatever it is, go against your best friend. But a lot of them thought that it was, you know, a commentary on how they would look themselves. It's not you. You're a character. You're a character that you're selling to the crowd. It's not about you personally. It's not about if whatever person's X person doesn't want to lose to another guy because he doesn't like him. We're doing this to build a storyline. We're doing this to build a storyline so next week or next month or next 6 months, we can bring the people back. And if you have a lot of guys that only want to, they're play fighters. They only want to do what they want to do. And that's not how you run a business. I said it to you a while ago, Stefano, when we first met. Imagine if you went to a restaurant and you ordered filetto di manzo con tartufo, okay? And they bring you chicken. You will go back to that restaurant?
Oh, no, never.
No. So it's not about what the fighter he wants. It's about the booker, how he builds, or the writer, how he builds that story, and then the talent does the best they can to deliver that story. And then hopefully, we hope, next time it brings the talent, the customer back.
Okay, I had the possibility to stand during a briefing between a booker and some wrestlers, and it was crazy because the booker had to tell them just twice, that there is a big story incoming, and they will have to lose, win. They will have to be in different angles and different kind of situations, and sometimes they will have to wrestle, and sometimes they don't have to. And the problem is not that he told them just twice because he was unbelievable and crazy, but because right now in Italy, it's very difficult to tell someone a roster. Maybe you are not in the next episode, but believe me, you will be in I don't know 2-3 episodes later. They understood, but he was very afraid of that because he didn't know how. And he told me, I cannot tell them a big picture, the big story behind, because sometimes if they know, they could not stay there, but they would go away because they won't see them in the big picture. They won't see them with the belts. So it's difficult to make them understand.
No, of course, it's a very difficult road to travel, of course. But for example, in WWE, you get creative on the day. You know what that means, creative?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get what you're doing on the day, all right? They don't go to, maybe they do it to the big guys like John Cena and Undertaker and people like that, but in general, you get what you're going to do on that day, right? And then you get agents or producers, they're called now, to help you with that. Okay, and they try and produce the best possible bit of TV that they can at that time. Okay. When it comes to the independent level, yes, it is more difficult. But it's mainly more difficult because you have to deal with egos. You have to deal with egos of people that, let's be honest, don't know what they're doing. All right? The sad thing about it is most of them probably could know what they're doing, but because they don't want to listen to advice, especially from people that know better than them. And I don't know better than anybody. I've just been doing it for so long that I've started to figure out what is right and what is wrong. And maybe, there is no right and wrong in certain circumstances. Different crowds are different for certain people. You could, like Italy, you could go down to Campania and the people are angry about something, and so the performers must react to the crowd being angry. But then you could go up to Milan and people, it's been raining and people are tired, and then you have to make them more excited. It's not about what the performer wants. It's not about what the booker wants. It's about what your customer wants, like any other business. And it's just as simple as that. If you can provide what the customer wants, it's done. And then give them at the end of the show something to want them to come back and see, you're doing all right.
Okay, but do you think that the problem is it's called professional wrestling, but here in Italy, it's not a real profession. You can live doing this. You don't have enough money to live if you just do the wrestling business. So maybe it's because of this that they don't understand properly, because they don't have to go at the end of the month with money in their pocket, buy pro wrestling.
So you answer me yourself one thing.
Okay.
If you're professional, before you
Okay.
get paid, if you're professional, you act professionally. You go to work properly. You do your job. So if someone working McDonald's and you say, oh, go and make the chips, the fries. And he said, no, I want to make the burger. Professional, no. Go and make the fucking chips. Go and make the fries. Yeah? If people turn up acting professionally, acting respectfully, yeah? If you go to your job, I don't know what you do for a living, but if you go to your boss and tell him, fuck you, I don't want to do this, out.
Yeah.
If people come along and try and work the good of the show, not just themselves, the good of the show, that's how it's going to become professional. That's how it's going to make you money. You're not going to draw people back if you're doing what you want as a wrestler, not a professional wrestler, as a wrestler. Or even the word I like to use is a worker, because a worker is a professional. If you come along and do whatever you want and don't listen to the promoter, just don't even listen to the crowd, how are you going to make money? It's like what I was saying before about going to a restaurant and ordering something and getting something completely different. Go along, do what you're meant to do, and you know what? Sometimes it might fail. Maybe the booker's wrong. Maybe the promoter's wrong. Maybe the crowd are upset or happy, or you know, it's people completely evolve over time. Yeah, people, what worked in the 80s in WWE does not work today in WWE. Right? We have to learn from our audience, our customers. And if we learn from our customers, we will always be making money, and then we will become professional wrestlers. Not just go and do what I learned a moonsault in training today, so I'm going to put it in the match. Yeah, what if you're being squashed by a big man, and then you want to do your moonsault? Your job is to get squashed. Or I'm against my friend and we're equal, but I want to do my moonsault, but we didn't. We meant to say equal. The story of the match, which should be given to you by the booker or the promoter, whatever the situation is over there, it all builds to a certain thing. When I book a card, I do 7-8 matches, and I go up, and I go down, and I go up, and then before the interval, sometimes I go way down, or maybe I go way up, so they buy merchandise. But it all has a picture that we want to display at the end, and that picture we display at the end should hopefully next time bring other people back. The biggest company in the world at wrestling is WWE. Sometimes they don't do it. Sometimes they have angles that don't work. Vince McMahon is literally a genius of this business. He's made billions even. And sometimes he gets it wrong, right? But it doesn't matter. When we get something wrong, we chuck it away and we start something else new. And we try and build and build and build until we get a good audience, a good draw, good customers.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I have to ask you this, because you went here, but you're not just England or Italy. You travel at least Europe. The audience are not so different. They want basically the same stuff. You have just to connect with them and understand the minorities of the differences. What do you think about the audience?
The human being, the human animal, and we're all animals, doesn't matter what anyone says, the human animal is attracted to a certain thing. And I tell you what that certain thing is. Conflict. Okay? Let's say you and me, we're in a bar, and two guys, they start fighting. Okay? What everybody else do? They look at the fight.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know why, but I know that I will do this.
We want to see who wins.
Okay.
When the crowd come and buy a wrestling ticket, what do they want to see?
Someone who wins and someone who
No,
loses.
they want to see out of the two people who wins. And if we go and pretend we're not wrestling properly, it's not a real fight. Non combattere.
Okay. Yeah.
So
we have this problem here because people don't understand the difference between fake fights and wrestling, and there is a big difference between the two things. But here in Italy, nobody understands it because of many problems. I don't wanna stay here for 2 hours telling you the problems of Italy and Italian medias. Okay, but there is this problem here. And what do you think we can do to change this? Because I think that maybe it's our work, people who love it. We can explain people, we can show them, we can help them understand. I don't think there is another way, because here it's very difficult.
So personally, I'm in Cyprus right now, and we have the same problem. Okay, there's no wrestling in Cyprus. It's fake. It's this, that, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. When you watch a movie, you know his actor, you know his director, you know his writer. You don't watch the movie. You watch it.
Yeah.
The problem is when the acting is bad, that you don't want to carry on watching the movie. So, per me, if the wrestling doesn't look like a real competition, I'm not saying that they have to believe it's a real fight. I'm saying while they're watching it, if it doesn't look, if I put a lock up on and I take a head, and the guy in the headlock is going, instead of trying to fight out of the headlock, it doesn't look real.
Yeah.
You break my suspended disbelief. I can't believe in you, even though I know it's fake. I can't believe in watching this match to take me on the story, because you're doing things that don't look real, like a real fight.
Okay, it's very clear, very clear. And I have to thank you, because sometimes we have the hope that people understand by themselves, but sometimes we don't understand what we are watching, and having this view is very important for me. And
sorry, let me just stop you 1 minute.
Yes.
It's nobody's fault. Nobody's fault in Italy. I went through this myself. I grew up 21 years in the wrestling business, and no one taught me anything. Only recently, I was lucky enough, maybe 6 months ago, something, to speak to a very famous guy called Dutch Mantel, or you call him Seb Coulter. He was WWE a few years ago. He's been doing wrestling for 50 years. And for many years, I thought, oh, I don't know this, I don't know that. And when I first spoke to him, he confirmed for me everything that I'd been thinking for the last 20 years. It's not Italy's fault, the talent there, that they don't know really what to do. It's because there's no decent trainers. There's no people with lots of years of experience to teach them what they've done wrong. They just go out and try and do what they think they should do, and this and that. That's not their fault. They didn't do anything wrong. It's just there was a lack of education about it. And you know, who's going to know algebra from maths if someone doesn't teach them? Who's going to know how to cook well if someone doesn't teach them? It's not anybody's fault. It's just now the scene is growing. There's so many different promotions. What was it? FIW, BWT, Viva, ICW. There's so many different places now that the scene is going to grow, and hopefully the learning will grow. And once the learning grows, you can start to build what they used to call little territories, or hopefully everyone comes together and you can take over the whole country and use the best talent from everywhere and make something decent and make it professional, make money for everybody, have a job as a pro wrestler. But as long as everyone argues, everyone thinks about their own ego, and everyone does what they want to do, it's not going to happen.
But so you think that it's good for them, for wrestlers, for example, to go out and search for proper instructors, proper teachers? And,
of course. Yes.
And outside Italy, there are plenty of them, and you are one of these. You are one of the teachers.
I hope so.
And how can people from Italy can reach you, and how can they learn from you?
Oh, well, I do sessions. I'm a bit busy at the moment, so whoever wants to message me, message Barry, BARRY, at stylotel, STYLO.com. If you drop me an email and you'd like to do a private session with me, it's about €100. If you want to do a Zoom call with a seminar with your friends and the other trainees, I'm happy to do so. If I can get you in touch with other people. For example, I have wrestled in matches, but I'm not good at bumping. I'm a bit old now. But I can get you in touch with Sid Scala, who does a great video of how to take bumps, how to do the drills that are important for you to get fit and to be able to get certain stages in your career. Drop me a message, anyone, even if we've met in the past, if you don't know me, even if whatever, please feel free. I'm happy to talk to anyone about it.
Okay, thank you for this advice, and I will put in the description of this video everything to catch up with you, because it's very easy to connect with you, and you are a very kind person. I had to tell people that I didn't know you since last week, but it was very easy to make contact with you and speak with you. And I think that I learned a lot of things. This is our second conversation, and I learned something just speaking with you, and I think that somebody who's listening now can understand how much you are inside this job and how much you love this job. And I think that loving this job is very, very important in order to do this properly, because as you was saying before, it's like acting. If you don't like this, you cannot, undress yourself and go out there in front of a camera because you have to make a naked scene. You don't kiss another man if you are a man, heterosexual man. So if you like that job, you do whatever you want. You do whatever it takes. Okay, and this is very, very good. And I think this is the key in order to connect with this sport. So tell us something. Okay.
No, I was just saying, I think a lot of people confuse themselves with the character that they're playing. Right? Barry Charalambous is not Charming Don Charles. I used to be a manager years ago and my character was named Charming Don Charles. I'm not Charming Don Charles. Charming Don Charles was a pussy and he would be, all this kind of stuff. That's not me. Anyone who actually met me knows that's not me. You must separate you and the character completely. Don't get me wrong, if there's something from you that you like to give to the character and it works, all right, use it. But it's not you. You're not portraying you to the audience or to the TV camera or the streaming internet thing. It's a character. You're playing a character. Do you think that Brad Pitt, when he's doing his movies, acts like Brad Pitt? No. he's playing character, and he's playing character to entertain the audience so he can fucking make some money. And that is the job. It's the same thing. Sorry to cut you. What was your question?
I was trying to ask you something peculiar about your career. Maybe there was something I don't know, special that you want to talk about to Italian audience in order to understand that you were in a spot similar to the Italian situation about wrestling. So maybe they can understand how we can help this growing.
Well, there's quite a few things. For me, the main thing was when I first came to Italy, I have a good friend, Roberto Amato. I don't know if you know him. He was one of the founders of Fever.
Yes, I met him thanks to you.
My problem. So originally I started in the FWA, which was one of the first sort of, you want to call it smart mark or whatever promotions in the UK. It started off the whole movement that you're seeing now with a lot of the big companies and everything. And Roberto would come and train there. But there was lots of trainees there, but I just seemed to get on well with Roberto. He had ideas that for his age or his standing in the business or his place in the business, he had a bit better idea than other people around him. And I thought, But just aside from that, we got on as friends. And so he brought me to Italy, I want to say 2003, 2004, I can't remember exactly when it was. And he brought me to a few different shows they did. And I said, mate, this scene is about to kick off. This thing is about to become something. And, because I don't know if it was politics or maybe maybe the people just didn't like me there. But they didn't want to listen to what I had to say, which is, fair enough. If you don't want to listen, not a problem. It's up to you. If you can do better, go for it. But yeah, I wasn't able to get involved in that company at that time. But then he went out on his own with a few other guys, which in Viva now. So it was Marco Foloni, Johnny Puttini.
Yeah.
The other guys, I don't remember who they are. But yeah, he brought me into Viva. I think they did 1 or 2 shows, and he said, to the guys, like, I know this guy from England and he wants to help. And I said, yeah, of course, he's my friend. You know what I mean? So that's how we started to build the early days of Viva. But there was some issues with, well, not only ego, it was just ability. People couldn't bump properly, people couldn't look up properly, let alone tell a story in a match and bring people back next time. There was some standout talents for me at the time. Andres Diamond, there was Pietro, was it Shock, Ape Atomica. That's the most I remember. Right, there was a couple more, but I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember them. And it had so much potential, but it was still in its infancy. It wasn't. They weren't at the stage where they could do the job that they needed to do to bring people back and make money. It looks much better now. For me, the scene over there, there's a lot of talent. One of the people that I think is very talented is Fabio Ferraris. Red Scorpion looks decent. I can't see, the problem is I only see things on my Facebook feeds. I never see full show, so I might see like a little video and it's like, oh, that's good, and it's not a regular thing that I watch, but I really do believe that the scene over there could.
I lost you for a bit. You think that the scene here could? I lost you for a second.
Build to something.
Okay. Thank you. There is a little bit of delay from your voice and my voice, so we are going to do this just a few minutes now, and we are off. But I want to ask you, who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
Who made the most money?
Okay, so I don't know. Maybe
The Rock. Come on now.
The Rock. Oh, The Rock. You are thinking outside the wrestling business. Okay. I was thinking about inside.
Inside too.
Okay.
When Vince McMahon asked Rob to come back for a pay-per-view or a month of TV, you think he's paying him little? He's paying him a lot.
I think so. And which is the one who had who give you the idea of becoming something inside the wrestling business? Which character did this to you?
It wasn't a character, it was Mr. McMahon, I think.
Okay.
Because I saw, when I first watched wrestling when I was 8, 9 years old, and back then it was UK wrestling, World of Sport. I don't know if you guys know about it, but then they cancelled it, and WWE came on, WWF, and then it was WCW. But the difference, the grandeur, the how big it was, thousands of people. In the UK, even though it was on national TV, maybe it was in a hall with 800 people, 500 people. And then when you would watch WWE, it was massive. It was characters over the top. It was robe. Ric Flair had a huge robe, and the Road Warriors had the spikes on, and it stood out. It was larger than life. Whereas the British wrestling, which was great, was technical. Who's going to like that? It wasn't necessarily boom. Just the same way in a lot of American. It's not the same now, but a lot of American movies back then were boom. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone, boom, 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 boom. But the British movies were like, hello. It was a bigger. It drew me in. It made me think, oh. So the reason I say Vince McMahon is not because of his character that he played in the late 90s. It was because he made that, for me, the thing that took me in, the thing that made me and yeah, I guess that's my inspiration.
It's difficult for me to listen to somebody who tells me that Vince McMahon is his entry point for the business, but it's very cool, this, because it makes me understand better why you are so inside wrestling. Because the feeling that I have with you is that you think about pro wrestling and breathe about pro wrestling every single minute of your life. This is what you can show me. Is it correct?
Yes. I wake up and I think about it. When I go to sleep, I must stop myself from thinking about it, or I don't sleep.
Okay.
The difference for me, the big difference was that many people, when I was growing up in the business, when they didn't understand something, they go, no, it's not, it's wrong. No, I do it how I like. But me, I said, what I'm doing wrong, what can I do better? How can I do it better? I booked something. The crowd was okay for the first 1-2 minutes of the match, but then, and then near the finish at the end, what I did wrong as the booker. But then after, I asked myself what the worker did wrong, and how always it cannot be. It can be. You know what I mean? That's the way you think about it. I always question myself. Always. When I do commentary, I did commentary sometimes when I do teaching, when I wrestle in a match, when I work as a manager, when I book, when I promote a show. What was wrong? The crowd, they tell me what was good. I don't need the workers to come and tell me, oh, it was good and blah, blah, blah. The crowd, from the noise they make, that is what tell me what is good. Yeah? They're not telling me what is good, what is wrong, and how I can stop it from being wrong and how I can make it better. Always. And many times it's the ego that stops you from looking at the truth.
It's very, very enlightening, this. Very, very enlightening. And not just for pro wrestling. And this makes you a proper teacher, I think. Because I do this for a living. I teach people how to play guitar, how to sing, stuff like this. And I know that the difference between a person who really loves but doesn't understand how it works is there. If you can say something that make the other people breathe the enthusiasm, okay, this is good. And I thank you very much for this, because for the first time I have the possibility to speak about this with a person who do it for half time of your life. So it's very, very kind. I have to say you goodbye, but it's not addio, but it's arrivederci, because we are going to speak again together. It was a big pleasure for me, and I a bit envy you, because you are in a better place than I am. I live with the fog outside my window every day since 3 weeks, I think, for 3 weeks now. And I envy you a bit. And thank you very much, Barry. I will leave your contacts down in the description. Everybody can contact you and speak with you and make an agreement with you.
It doesn't matter what level you are. All right, I can train people who just start from 1 week, and I can train people that have been doing it 10, 15 years. Whatever you like. And the other thing that always have problem, people are scared or they're worried or whatever to ask me things. You ask me anything you want, anything, and it doesn't matter. I will always do my best to try and help you. If you're in on a session with me, that's my job. It's there to help you as a student, and I'm more than happy. I'm very happy to do it.
And it's very important. And my idea is that if you that are listening now, you want to do this in your life, if you really love wrestling, you have to go to the proper teacher. So thank you very much, Teacher Barry. And thank you for your time. We are very pleased to have for having you. And at the end of every interview in English, I try to eat my words. We say this in Italy, to eat our words when we. It's something that it cannot be translated, but I will put subtitles and people will understand. Okay. No, thank you very much, Barry. See you very, very soon.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
Okay. Okay, people. Thank you very much for watching this. We are going to be here next week with another person. Maybe, just maybe, you listen to his name from Barry 2, 3, 10 minutes ago. So if you listen properly, you may have an idea of who is going to be the next guest. Thank you very much, Barry. Thank you very much, you all. See you next Monday.